Hi everybody, I wanted to talk about climate control with guitars and other fretted instruments, all string instruments, even pianos. They're very sensitive when they're made lightly and with solid wood versus plywood to climate change. And every year I get so many instruments in that were dried out during the fall, winter, and early spring, not being humidified correctly. And it's very important to know how to humidify your, we'll focus on guitars today, but mandolins, ukuleles, they all need to be humidified. If you don't have the ability in your room to have a good humidifier going to get your humidity where it belongs, there are little devices you can put inside the instruments, inside the sound holes. Ideally, you want to be around 45%. Some people shoot for 50, but you don't really need to work that hard. If you have a humidifier running, you're using more water and electricity than you need. 45 is really perfect. And if you know your instruments are accurate, even down in 42, 43 is fine. You don't start to have issues with your guitars till you drop below 40, where the top might start to sink just a tiny bit. Your action might get a little lower, your neck might backbow. Once you're down into the 30s, you can develop some more substantial issues, even bridges lifting, cracks forming. When you're down in the 20% relative humidity or less, catastrophic damage can happen. And I get a lot of instruments with lifting bridges or neck angles that have gone bad, where even the neck is caved in, the head block is caved in, dipping, things like that. So one of the things you can do is have a hygrometer. Hygrometers measure relative humidity. This is an Abion. These are not cheap. I'm around 44% right now, which is just fine. And if you have multiple instruments, it's great to have one of those on an interior wall. I also have an electronic one, weather station, that tells me inside and outside. And I have a less expensive version that I found in a local antique store that's right around 44 today too. And so these all play off of each other, and I know they're accurate. So they're within 1 or 2% of each other all the time. You might have one that, the reason I say to stay above, like try to shoot for 45, is if your hygrometer has a -3 or +3 error rate, you're still in the pocket. So there's plenty of places online to look it up and study guitar humidity. I love these devices. The Oasis is a great one. It comes with little polymer beads that turn into gel when you add the water with the syringe that it comes with. And then it just goes between the strings, the G and the D. You spread them, drop it in, and it rests in there. And it's also important to keep it in the case, because if you don't, the water evaporates right out of the sound hole without necessarily getting into the wood. So people will say, oh, my bridge came up, or I got a crack and I was using the device. Well, you have to make sure it's in the case, okay? D'Addario has a division called Planet Waves. They make a number of humidity control products as well. Music Nomad makes a good one. It's a blue plastic flask that drops inside with a little lid that flips up with a high density sponge that really holds a lot of water. And typically your humidity season, where you have good humidity, kind of ends in the fall when the heat comes on. So once your heat comes on, look at your relative humidity in your room. If it starts to drop close to 40% or lower, you want to get either a room humidifier going or using a device in your instrument religiously. It's the most important thing you can do. You're going to check it every day or two, and I know it's babysitting your instrument, but if you have a nice guitar, it's worth doing that, okay? And if you have an Oasis, just be careful not to fill it in the sink and overfill it so that the crystals come out, because they're nice. It turns into, like I said, a gel inside. And you can always buy more crystals from Oasis on their website. So if you have multiple guitars, pick up a really good hygrometer, like the Abion. And if you can't humidify your room or your house with a good machine to get it up to the proper level of 45%, invest in a good sound hole humidifier for each of your instruments and maintain them religiously, keep them in their cases. And not only will they sound better when they're humidified in the dry season, but they'll be safe.